Hello everybody, this is Kevin Element here. I'm about to do another tutorial on Jira just to help my students get through the next few days of an assignment. Very simple stuff. We're about to initiate a project, we're kicking it off, and we need to start creating the new Teams-based version of their project on Jira. So moving forward, I just want to take a look here quickly. When you're ready to add people into your space, look over at these three dots beside the name of your project. So I'm going to hit more actions. Take a look down here. You've got a lot of interesting things here to understand. This is where you're going to find things like linking teams, etc. Change the look of it and even get into your space settings. You might have to go in there later if you're having difficulty with aligning all of your different people, but this should be very straightforward if we follow these directions carefully. So beside the name, beside the three dots, in the middle, you'll find a little person with a plus. Click that, and you can literally just type in Joe at, joe.joe. That's a fake email address, but that would be the person's name that you'd like to send it to. Now, I wonder if there is a Joe at Gmail. I've asked my students to use Gmail, and lo and behold, there happens to be somebody in the world named joe.com, joe@gmail.com. I'm not going to email them because that's the lucky person who got that email a long time ago. But if they do have an email account that is from Google, you might actually see that it starts popping up the complete name as you start typing it in, especially if they have an account with that lesion as well. So when we do that, we select a bunch of people. So let's just say me at test.com, and I hit enter, and they'll go into this little pill shape here. You'll see you can add as many people as you want, but just be mindful of the role. So for my assignment, I would like for all my students to be administrators, please. That way later on when you need to get in and make changes or fix things up or get into a much deeper level, change security settings, create, add, delete, anything, you've got all the superpowers. But while we're on the topic, be mindful that viewers are very interesting guests. Guests can do some work, but viewers can just look. So this might be your client, right? You can just have your client come in and watch what's going on with the project because, in the end, you're going to be wanting to work the project. And I've manipulated some stuff here. I actually had to recreate my entire space because I was having issues with having to pay for certain things from a previous account. So I just started over again. Bombed this out in about 5 minutes, just filled out a little list, gave it some times, had some fun out here on my timeline, created some dependencies by dragging the little dot that appears underneath and overlapping it so I could see that there's before I can actually call my best man, I got to call all my friends and make sure that that happens before I inform one of my friends that they're going to be indeed my best man. And this can happen over a period of June where we make the selection of who that person's going to be, but we have to call the friends first. So be mindful that this is not a finished Gantt chart. This is meant to live and breathe so you can actually make updates to it. And you make updates over here, you go back to your list and you'll notice that under here I've got now this date has changed for calling my best man, just because I was over in the timeline dragging things around. So it's really easy. Now you may notice something's changed. I've gone forth and started to add the type of issue known as an epic. Now, if you don't see these lightning bolts, or if they're called workflows, be careful. Because in the project management template, sometimes you're going to see a collection of different types of issues. A task, an epic, a story, these things are all considered to be issues. They end up being interesting moments of work. So for example, under create epic, if I hit plus, I see the lightning bolt, it says epic. I press down here, I should be able to change this to a different task type, and I can't on the timeline. I just simply can't. I have to go back to the list or the board we go back to the list over here, you'll see it's collapsed. So if I hit create, it's going to have the option here to create a lightning bolt epic, but I have more work types available, different issue types. So if I go in here and edit my work types, I'm going to need my students to go in here. If you don't see the word epic, then you're going to need to choose the new type of work type. It should be in there as an option, and once you add it, you'll see that there's a new type of issue or work type here for your. I don't actually need features, so I'm going to edit my work types. I wonder if I can delete features. I'm not working in the software space, so I'm not looking for a software feature. I'll just leave it in there. Manage, that might be where we have to go. But you can see there's a lot of really cool stuff that we can do with Jira and really get in there and make some changes. So epics, edit the workflow, space settings. There's so much that you can get done in here to manipulate exactly how you want this to look. So now that I'm using epics, so I used this example before. Okay, so getting married is an epic. What would be another epic thing to do? We're going to buy a house. Okay, so that's an epic amount of work. And you'll notice that as I start to create carefully these check boxes, like I said before, and if I say drive the neighborhood because I want to find a house, go out for a drive one day, it is not associated to this epic. So I'd have to drag this into buy house. So you see that the issue type gets a little square around it. And now I can drop that down, or make it faster. For this epic, I can press the plus to create a child item, and I'm going to call a realtor. Okay. Okay, so create, and it adopts all the other types of data that we had set up previously, including I added the start date column over here. So that's just a way to keep these large, broad brush pieces of work organized. And you could break down getting married to select your guests would be an epic thing to do, and then that would include printing. One task would be printing the invitations, and then finding the hall and church. That's another one. Or the next one would be planning and executing the party. Those could be epics. It all depends on how you organize work within your brain, and if you get a job in an organization, you want to talk to the project management team to understand exactly how they like to organize their different issues or their different work in these different categories. So that's important to know. All right, so here's all of my different sub tasks underneath this epic called Get Married. And when I did that and I went back to the timeline, I can see that that's now collapsed and nicely organized, so I can drop these down and see the detail underneath. So if you don't have epics, be careful. Go back to your list, go under create, drop down the task option, and then consider adding in here a work type. This one right down here, and it's hiding behind my face, but it's right there. Yeah. So underneath this drop down, so add work type or edit work types, and make sure that you have access to epics in your project. Yeah. Then your big old epic is going to be the name of the project that we're executing, and then beneath that we're going to create our sub-child tasks. And just to be mindful in your timeline, you do have to drop this down to play around with it. All right, it looks normal in your board though. Like we see things over here. So what's going to get done next? We're going to find the hall. We're going to put that in progress. We go back to the timeline. It changes the status over there, changes it in the list. It's universal. All right, so you've added your people. So now you've got your team. They should all get invitations to come in. And one thing I strongly encourage you to do when you create that group, let them know. It sounds ridiculous, but call them up, send them on a WhatsApp, get them on the phone, send them a text message, let them know, check your email and triple check that they can get access to the project, and then ask them to just play around there in there a little bit, maybe create some subtasks, create some epics, just make some noise, play with it, make sure that they can do work so that they indeed are administrators. Okay, so the other piece of this next assignment is very simple. we're going to get into using an aspect of the tool that's a little confusing to understand at first, but it's easy in the end. A little steep learning curve, about an hour, even a half hour, you're going to figure this out. So if you notice up top left, it says Jira. So Jira belongs to this Atlassian.net. This Atlassian company owns Jira, but they also have another software they call Confluence, and this is like your document management organization, create databases. You can do a ton of work. It's incredible, actually. It's mind-bogglingly amazing. First blush, I thought, it's just a web page builder, but it's not. It's a lot more. You can write code in there. You can create databases. You can create simple spreadsheets. You can create documents of any type. It's a storage facility. So it's like a cloud. It's like having your own little Google suite of tools in your project. It does invariably, in the end, cost some money, but for the time that you have a trial with them, it's going to be free. So for the duration of the course, it's going to be free, and then in the future, anything that you've created during the free plan is accessible through the project. It just doesn't disappear. But after a little while, and I think it was a year. It's been a year since I really dug into this deeply, since last year I taught this. My one account where I was building the previous wedding in the different space, it went pay to play. So I paid for it, but it was something strange was happening and it could not activate the documents component. So now that I've created a new account and y'all have a fresh account, if you just click up here where it says docs, and so it's going to do some funky stuff for a bit. It's going to try to establish a connection over to the other tool. So it's like, what is all this? There's nothing here but potential. Manage connection, all your content in one place. It seems like it's a different tool completely, and it is. It's called Confluence. So you got pages and whiteboards and all of your other stuff that's going to be stored in another storage vault out there in the internet, and that's in the Confluence space. But they're beautifully dovetailed together, and they work perfectly together. So I'll close this down, and it encourages you to start with at least a page. And this is the point for this assignment. If you are going to start using Jira to share project management, design of a wedding, or the creation of a product or a website, or you're working in a department, we want to tell stories. We want to get people engaged. This is kind of interesting, seeing a list and playing around in here. It's interesting, but we're not selling the dream. So eventually what I would love for my students to do is to create what's called a landing page. So if I go anywhere, like say I click on this plus icon, new tab, Firefox has a landing page. So we've just landed here at Firefox, and it has buttons the way they've created them. Or if I go to Amazon.com, it's going to land somewhere. That's a landing page, right? Pop-ups and things happen, interactivity occurs. What happens if I head on over to, say, CanadianTire.ca? It's going to land me on a page, right? It's trying to access allow it to. So all these things that are happening when I first arrive at a domain, to a website, it's going to present something interesting for me to look at. Now, wouldn't that be nice if we could do the same thing for our projects? Instead of it being this sort of boring list of stuff, even the summary page is kind of cool, but at the end, it's not interesting. What if we created a page that we could land our clients on that had photos of the future wedding and photos of where we're going to be at the hall, and it's got pictures of people dancing and textual descriptions and maybe videos that incorporate music, so we can get some life into this thing. So that's a lot to think of, and we'll get there over the course of the next 7 weeks. But right now, we're just going to get into using Confluence at all. So create a page. It's going to pop up. It might ask you to create a Confluence space, but it's not. It's going to associate it directly with the current Jira space that we're using. And it does, at first, it looks pretty simple. So we're going to create what's called a project charter, right? And we could change the name of this later. We can edit this. It's live, you know. And when, as a person 30 years in web development, I'm kind of looking at this and I'm like, that's nice. You know, it's got, you know, what you would expect from a rich text editor. I got emojis. That's fun. Status header images. That's kind of cool. Header image. That's neat. What do I want for a header image? Let's just click on that and see what it, oh, that's kind of nice. You know, this is good. And let's call it what it is. Like in my case, it's a project charter for the wedding. And then there's all these templates. Oh, that's neat. I'm going to have a one-on-one meeting. We're going to have, you know, 5 whys analysis, a table of contents. All these things are just free. Like you just click on them and then like, I'm going to need a table. Oh, that's cool. And then there's your little sort of kind of weird spreadsheet, but it's not really a spreadsheet. It's just a table. And then we got ... delete it. And then we just get rid of that and, you know, etc. But one thing it encourages us to do, which I find really interesting, is down here. If I start to, let's say, more elements, this is what blows my mind. So if you type in slash, just slash, above the question mark, kind of slash, then this more elements will pop up. And this was a little overwhelming at first glance. I'm like, interesting. Database? That doesn't make sense to my brain. Because usually you have a database installed on a server and you create, you know, some software that's like the back end kind of WordPressy thing or whatever, and it talks to databases and they plug and play with each other. But to just push the button database and have it instantiate like a database somewhere on the cloud, it does that, and it gives you potential to use ODBC, which is a data connectivity software piece that allows you to connect any of your IDEs, your development environments, your integrated development environments into these databases and actually write SQL code. Like, what? Like, you can just do that with clicking this button and sit down with your client and design a database in real time and then export that out in using SQL language and import it back into SQL Server or MySQL or whatever. Like, it just, to me, as somebody who's done this type of development in the past, this is really, really powerful. Or I can throw in an actual item. Then there's the usual stuff like an image, video, or file. Jira work items, expand it, table, code snippets, and this list goes on and on and on. So I'm just going to start by creating a H1. I'm going to throw in a header, and I'm going to call this, you know, welcome to the party of the century. Right, and this is just me starting to have some fun, you know, and I'm just going to continue to write what it is I am planning to do for this event. And this must be 250 words. And this is due Sunday, right? Okay. So this is what you got to do. You add your people, you know, create your new project space on one of your accounts. That's going to be the project lead. You're going to start to brainstorm a list, get the juices flowing about what you're going to have to do for your project that I've assigned you. Join up your entire team, invite them all the way I showed earlier in this video, and then get Confluence connected by adding a page and then get in here like I just showed you. If this is too quick, then you can rewind the video, you can watch this again and try to give it a little bit of flair, but not too much. It's always a good idea when you're doing web page design, any document design, just get the ideas out. Just like creating a list earlier, just get the words out, get it flowing. Think of maybe sections you're going to want to include, and then later on you can add all the bells and whistles. Like, it's a little too much that I've even done this header up top, but I mean, it was easy. I just clicked a button and now this is a much more enlivened looking document that somebody would enjoy looking at, you know, 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. in an office somewhere. Anyway, that's all for now. So write for me a 250 word description of your event that you're planning to do. There's 2 groups of 4 in my class right now, and we're going to have 2 excellent projects developed over the next 2 months. So that's the video for today. I hope that was helpful. I publish. Where does it go? There's this button up here, open in Confluence, but it's gone into the ether somewhere. So now under Docs, Project Charter Wedding, it pops up over here. We can edit it in Confluence, which is a whole other space we're going to look into later. But for now, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. I'll land on your summary, and your board, your list, your docs, etc. And then I want to click on this and just see something with a 250 word description beside it. Don't forget to hand this in. All I simply need you to do is go up to your share button up here, click on that, and then add it, the same old guy that you know. So I won't finish that off, but add that gentleman in there and make me absolutely, you want to open that up and share that with me, copy the link. And once it's copied to your clipboard, that's what I need you to paste into Blackboard, into the comments field, hit submit for your team. And that's what I'll be taking a look at next Monday when I mark everything. All right, my friends, that is it for today's video. I hope that was helpful. I'm looking forward to planning this event and going into production after Student Success Week. Have a great week off. Bye-bye.